What's going on, Vikings Nation? Buckle up, because today's Minnesota Vikings news might completely shake up how we're looking at this offseason. There's a quarterback storm brewing in Minnesota, and it's not just smoke. There are real names, real decisions, and real pressure building inside TCO Performance Center. The Minnesota Vikings need a quarterback. Not just depth, not just a clipboard holder. They need someone who can walk into camp and legitimately challenge McCarthy for that starting job. And let's be honest, Kevin O'Connell cannot afford another season that ends without the playoffs. Here's the twist. What if the competition comes from a familiar face? And what if that move sends a message about how the organization truly feels about McCarthy heading into year 3? Stay with me because this gets very interesting very fast. McCarthy's development has been anything but smooth. Injuries slowed him down, and as a rookie he had to sit and watch Sam Darnold run the offense in what many would call a turbulent season. That's not exactly the ideal growth trajectory for a young quarterback. Now we're heading into year 3. This is supposed to be the leap year, the breakout season, the He's the Guy campaign. But if the Vikings go out and aggressively bring in serious competition, what does that say about their internal evaluation? Competition can build greatness, but it can also reveal doubt. And that's where things get complicated for the Minnesota Vikings. One name that refuses to disappear from the conversation is Daniel Jones. Yes, that Daniel Jones. The same veteran who was in the building with Minnesota in 2024 before heading to Indianapolis. Jones had a strong 2025 season with the Colts before suffering a torn Achilles that cut things short. Achilles injuries are serious, especially for quarterbacks who rely on mobility. Recovery timelines can stretch deep into the offseason. He's set to hit free agency soon. While a return to the Indianapolis Colts feels logical, we all know the NFL is unpredictable once the open market opens. Strange things happen every March. CBS Sports analyst Ryan Wilson recently weighed in, saying Kevin O'Connell would likely love having someone like Daniel Jones in the quarterback room. Familiarity with the system, experience, stability, that matters. But Wilson raised the big question, how would that impact McCarthy in year 3? If you're not fully handing the keys to your former first-round investment by now, what does that signal? Sometimes, as Wilson pointed out, teams have to take the medicine and accept that a player may not be the long-term answer. That's a tough pill to swallow. And it's a conversation the Vikings front office must be having right now. Then there's the salary cap reality. The Minnesota Vikings can't just sign anyone without consequences. Cap flexibility matters, especially with other roster needs looming. Bringing back Daniel Jones wouldn't just be a football decision. It would be a financial calculation. And if McCarthy is entering what could be his last true prove-it window, the timing becomes even more sensitive. Another CBS Sports voice, Emory Hunt, actually believes Minnesota makes perfect sense for Jones if he doesn't stay in Indianapolis. The familiarity with Kevin O'Connell and the system is a huge factor. But Hunt also highlighted the obvious risk. Jones is coming off a torn Achilles. We don't know how explosive he'll be. We don't know if he'll be ready for week 1. And that uncertainty could shape the contract structure. Imagine this scenario. Jones signs a 1-year prove-it deal. McCarthy enters camp as the favorite, but not uncontested. Every preseason snap becomes magnified. Every practice rep becomes a headline in Minnesota Vikings news. Now let's pivot to another name floating around, and this one could truly explode the internet if it happens. Kyler Murray. Yes, Kyler Murray, the Arizona Cardinals quarterback who has been linked to Minnesota in speculation circles if Arizona decides to move on. And while that's a massive if, the financial mechanics are fascinating. Alec Lewis of The Athletic recently discussed how a post-June cut could theoretically make Murray available, though it would come with a brutal dead cap hit for Arizona. That kind of move isn't simple, but it's not impossible either. If Murray hit the market, it wouldn't just be about talent. It would be about money. Would he chase long-term security with a team like the New York Jets, who reportedly have significant cap space? Or would he consider a short-term, high-upside situation? Could Minnesota offer that type of prove-it environment? A strong offensive system, elite weapons, a coach known for quarterback development. That's intriguing. But here's the key question for Vikings fans. Do you want another reclamation project? Or do you want the franchise to fully commit to J.J. McCarthy and live with the results? Kevin O'Connell's reputation as a quarterback whisperer is on the line here. If McCarthy takes the leap, he looks like a genius. If the team hedges and brings in serious competition, it shows caution, maybe even doubt. This offseason could define the next 5 years of Minnesota Vikings football. That's not exaggeration. Quarterback decisions ripple through contracts, draft strategy, and locker room culture. So I'm asking you, Vikings Nation, what would you do? Bring back Daniel Jones for stability and competition? Swing big if Kyler Murray somehow becomes available? Or ride or die with McCarthy? Drop your thoughts in the comments right now. I want to hear from the real Vikings faithful. This is the kind of debate that defines an offseason. If you're loving these Minnesota Vikings news breakdowns and want daily updates with real passion and real analysis, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this with every Vikings fan you know. This quarterback saga is just getting started. And trust me, we're going to be covering every twist, every rumor, and every move until Minnesota finds its answer under center. Skol.